the risk of sounding like a very privileged brat, I have to admit that I've been to Venice a number of times. It's courtesy of having my original hometown a reasonable train ride away, so Venice can be visited as a day trip. Note though that from January 2023, a fee is due to be charged for day trippers. That includes those on cruise ships who stop for a day. When I thought about what I wanted this channel to feature, I decided that I wanted to show some different places or lesser known areas to well-known places. That was my goal this trip to Venice, to experience Venice away from the usual checklist that tourists have. I discovered the area known as the Jewish Ghetto, and it was perfect for what I was looking for. It's a quiet area, has lots of fascinating history, there are only a few tourists, and there were local residents just going about their daily lives. Coming in by train, people's first view of Venice is an impressive one. The Grand Canal right in front of you, a domed church across the canal, and all the people coming and going. Not to mention the travellers who didn't pack light and now have to drag huge suitcases up the stairs to the station. Pack light, people. Turn left from the station, go past the large church, and there are quite a lot of churches around. Walk down the road away from the station and the crowds gradually thin out. It's time to cross your first major bridge, the Giulia Bridge. Once at the Jewish quarter, it's more peaceful with residential areas and the reality of living in Venice. No car parking, just a small boat parked outside your apartment. The Jewish Ghetto was established in the 16th century as the Venetian Republic encouraged Jewish merchants to settle in Venice. The merchants were those who traded in the spices and silks that came from the east. The Jewish merchants weren't allowed to live with the rest of the Venetian population and were allocated a small island that had 2 bridges to get on and off. At sundown, the gates of the bridges were locked and they were unlocked at dawn. During the day, the Jews could travel around Venice but had to be back in the ghetto at sundown. The word ghetto originated in Venice. There are 4 synagogues in the ghetto. This one is the Italian synagogue. The synagogues had to be built in a way that wasn't obvious from the outside they were a religious building. I had lunch at a local restaurant, and the first time I passed through the square, I saw the little scooters and thought that tourists could rent them. Not at all. The building is a preschool, and as the children were being collected by family members, each child took a scooter and scooted home. It was very cute. Just what I wanted, local life, and I definitely got it. I saw these markers on the ground and then had a closer look. It was the names of the Jews who had lived in this particular house and had died in the Holocaust. By the 20th century, Jews could live in any part of Venice. Few were actually living in the ghetto, and these markers can be found in different parts of the city. The Jews first settled in the area that's now known as Il Ghetto Novo, the new ghetto. Later, as their population expanded, they were given another section and the gate was moved to a location on a main canal. For some reason, this area is known as Il Ghetto Vecchio, even though it was newer. Il Ghetto Vecchio means the old ghetto. You can exit the Ghetto Novo over this rather lovely bridge, and it's called the New Ghetto Bridge. Looking down the canal, I could hear singing, and then worked out it was the gondolier. Unfortunately, my camera's microphone picked up the debate two locals are having in the bar next to the bridge, and they drowned out all the singing. I went on a tour with a guide from the Jewish Museum, and I can highly recommend it. The tours are in Italian or English. The tour ended with us entering one of the two synagogues still operating in Venice. It was the Levantine Synagogue. We first entered the meeting room and then went upstairs to the synagogue. As it was summer, the tour takes you into the Levantine Synagogue. The congregation used the Spanish synagogue for worship during the summer months. During the winter, there's a swap. The tours take you into the Spanish synagogue, and the Levantine synagogue is used by the congregation. This swap is for very practical reasons. The Levantine synagogue is smaller and has heating, and the Spanish one doesn't. The red and gold colours are the Venetian colours. They're part of the Venetian flag. The use of marble is unusual, as it was generally just used in churches. The non-Jewish Venetian architect who built the synagogue was given permission to use marble. The Levantine Synagogue is the newest synagogue in the ghetto and was built from 1538 to 1561. The Jewish congregation in Venice is Orthodox, so women sit separately in the ladies' gallery upstairs. But as some of the ladies are quite elderly now and find climbing the narrow stairs difficult, a screen has been built for them to sit behind the men. The tour was fascinating and I learned so much. It was well worth doing. It was then time for a bit more of a wander and then finally back to the train station. If you've enjoyed my video on Venice, please consider liking and subscribing. There's a lot more of our big wide world to discover.